Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Resident Evil 4. You know, one thing that really goes to show how old this game is, which I guess is copyright 2005, so that I imagine is the original time it was released. I'm playing this in 2022, so you're talking 17 years ago, not quite 20 years. But what I was going to say is, even when you press just the button to load into the menu, which for the Xbox 360 at the time, that screen that says press any button, that's like a test that Microsoft required, and I imagine PlayStation had a similar requirement, where if you put the game in a Xbox 360 and it doesn't have a hard drive installed or any memory at all, it still would get to at least that one screen. But noticeably in this game, when you press the button, it pops up loading for a second and a half to load into the menu, which makes no sense at all. And it just really goes to show how slow they expected programs to run in GameCube, Xbox 360 days, and in general, just how slow hard drive speeds may have been. Now, on the GameCube, I guess the GameCube did have memory cards, but I'm not sure you absolutely had to have a memory card in the GameCube to play and to save a game. I think a lot of the cartridges... No, the GameCubes were discs, so there had to have been a memory card plugged in or memory built into the GameCube. So I guess you probably did have to have a memory card. It's been so long. Alright, and we saved, and then I organized my inventory and then exited without saving. So like, there's definitely an argument to this, just doing this and trying to sort things out as best as you can and get a square. So you've got this split here, and I think if you go to the left, where the top here, we'll just call that the top. I think you fight one, maybe even two chainsaw people, and then you can come back from that location and go through the other bottom part, which is a run. I actually believe there isn't actually a treasure that's important in either one of these. It would kind of suck and be unfair if the top was, say, the third color gemstone or another piece for the elegant mask, although that may very well be the case. Like, ideally we want to do both, and weapons wise we're not in a terrible position where we can't do both. The chase sequence could kill us, certainly. So ideally, what I want to do is go to the left, and you have to pick, there's no preference. Go through it, turn around, and come back, and then go through the right. I think there is a little bit of unfairness in that you can't go backwards if you go to the bottom part to the right first. And in a more modern game, or even in a second attempt at this, you would probably fix that so you could go back in both directions. I also looked at the achievements, and there was an achievement for shooting the lake and getting killed by the monster. There aren't that many achievements, so for that one to be one in there is a little interesting. Inherently, there's another achievement for beating the game on the highest difficulty and getting all the suits, which means getting S rank, which you don't even see the S ranking stuff until you are at the Alright. Well, that's not gonna work. If I was gonna try and get S rank, I would have to think about, can you get S rank on easy mode? Right. Right. So this protects Ashley and gives you this option. But yeah. We may just have a problem here, and this may just straight be a concept that is going to be really difficult to fight against. Me wasting time shooting that is stupid. Wasting bullets is stupid. My best bet is probably to try to get people to burn themselves and shoot themselves and go as much for just getting them on the ground instead of like, I think that is kind of your best bet, is to try and shoot them in the chest and not create a problem. You'd think that there might be a way to drop down here. You're hearing things. You're basically going to get into a fight section now that I see it, and they're gonna throw a chainsaw guy at you, and either your choice is to shotgun the guy, which is probably your best bet, or TMP the guy is also a possibility. Rifle is just too slow of a gun to use. Also, I want to make sure I get the treasure, which is supposed to be under here. So let's see if we can actually reach under here. Like, it's under this. I think you just have to come back and wrap around. Either that, or it is secretly hidden at that point, which that doesn't seem to be the case. can't cut these ropes or anything. It benefits me, I think, very little to have up. I think it benefits me very little to have Ashley come this way, but we'll have her run this way just because we know there's another hide spot, and so getting her to run where it's relatively safe and putting her in further away from the edges of the map where she could potentially be grabbed does make some sense. This does also, though, really highlight how this escort quest kind of just boils down to not that much. In a lot of sections. It does kind of seem like you could avoid jumping down, but I think if you avoid jumping down, you can't actually escape. The good news is I think that if there are any zombies that appear at the top part here, they are probably things that are just going to go away. Let's see, it does seem like you could just avoid jumping down one way. So let's investigate this section first. Suppose this is a hint at some mine shafts you see later on in the game, and implies, I guess, where some of the mining and where the Las Plagas characters might have come from. Deep in a mine. Like, these Las Plagas have nothing to do, as far as I can tell, with the T-Virus or anything like that. Like, they are just a naturally occurring parasitic creature that take over the brains and mutate the people. Okay. Interestingly here, I guess if you examine this, we could see the firepower of this gun. 5 per shot, 10 shots, versus 1.4 for this, or 6 for this. It's not a terrible thought to do this, although this potentially is going to kill me. Actually, we'll just try with the shotgun. So you jump down here, and you got a lady chainsaw character with a key on her, and another lady chainsaw. Alright, let's try and get everybody in the same area, and then let's go ahead and equip this and do that. Let's see. Alright. Got the camp key. We've got a ruby. We've got some shotgun shells. Do we have everything else on the floor? Yes, we do. Probably don't need. Alright. So we were able to successfully open that. And that unlocks that door. But we can't go through that section. You would kind of just think that is potentially the end of it, but why would you really think that's the end of it? Because there's definitely still room here for more of a challenge. Alright. A lot of people here. Alright, at that point, we can probably take out the rest of these. We are just at this weird point where headshots are not quite worth it, and you are just better doing body shots. But even if you focus exclusively on body shots and you're really good at this at aiming, it still kind of screws you over. Like, because you're going to run into some people that totally have did we get the treasure? Like, you're definitely going to run into some people that just have the thing you need to... What am I trying to say? You're going to run into some enemies that explode into the zombies, the Las Plagas characters, no matter what you do. There's also a little bit of unfairness here in that I don't know if I've ever even been down here before. If you don't pick up an item fairly quickly, it disappears, and I don't know if the game really balances for that, so letting things potentially disappear. Where are we on the map? Like, we jumped down into this underground bunker that I'm not sure I've ever even seen before. To jump over this way. And that opens a door to something I don't even know about. Interesting. And that's not the way out. Like, this is the way out. Suppose it's probably fair to say I usually don't take this path in runs. This is stretching out your pain, really, for not the best of reasons. Whereas, let's see, that was the door we went through, right? There aren't two doors. Like, whereas fighting the El Gigantes just makes more sense. So she can only go this far before you have to catch her. And so it's the ups and downs. Ooh, this is really driving me crazy, just how twisted this whole map seems to find the treasure. I'm not sure I've ever even found this treasure before. Like, the idea that there would be a whole secret room that I've never seen, I find that fairly shocking. And then in that secret room be a secret door that leads to something else is fairly shocking. What in the world is this? Is this some kind of restored content? I've never seen this.
Wait.
Where are we on the map even? There is no map image here. What in the world is this? Wow. It's just crazy that there would be content that you're just not aware of at all. Something you've just not seen. If this is actually in the game and this isn't some kind of tweak or restored content, like this is Lewis's facility, which I would guess that's what this is. I would be shocked, because this definitely feels like this is either added by the Resident Evil HD remake team, or I stupidly have just never seen any of this. And why would it be in that specific spot? I guess just as kind of an Easter egg. What's weird about this, however, is it fair for, if this is Easter egg content, is it fair for this to give you gold or try to add story or anything like that? is there really a boss fight here? This might be added content by Capcom official, too, and that this was just added to the remaster and people would just miss it? That's the weird part about how that would have to boil down to, is that there would just have to be a lot of people that have missed it. Silencer, handgun, weapon? That does not seem fair. Yeah, that totally does not seem fair to have a silencer for the handgun come out as a weapon. And I guess inherently I should, since I've got it now, equip it. What is a silencer for a handgun really going to do? Make the gun longer and potentially not attract the attention of other zombies when I shoot zombies. Which really isn't going to change too much because inherently the zombies see you well before they hear you shooting most of the time. They have very long visual distance. They can see you as far as you can see them, at least. And I'm sure there's a couple instances in which they can just see you straight through the window or wall. This really is going to be weird, though, if this has always been in the game. Like, here you have a more natural chained up Las Plagas creature that doesn't seem like something you can shoot. And you have what looks like a bunch of metallic art on the wall. It almost looks like it's supposed to be a pipe that would fill the area or connect the area. Wow. So yeah, I was talking off the cuff around the idea of digging downward and finding the Las Plagas, and that's where they would have been found. And this section of content seems to 100% confirm that. It definitely feels like it is just chained up here and probably alive. But I would question, if I was to shoot this, is it going to immediately attack me? Nope. There doesn't seem to be an actual fight here. Just a lot of gold and a lot of resources. And I guess, well, that didn't give me a treasure that combined with another treasure, that getting a silencer as an item is a big payoff. Getting a bunch of stuff to sell is a big payoff. Although in all fairness, I really don't need more gold or more pesetas as much as I just need more of the upgrades unlocked. You can see there's a whole bunch of textures here that were either redone by the Resident Evil 4 HD team or just added straight up. A lot of these textures are similar to the textures that Capcom, the real Capcom, stole and didn't pay a license for. Effectively, there was a artist who made a bunch of textures, put them on a CD-ROM, and sold the CD-ROM, but you had to pay a license if you were going to actually use any of the images
Follow me.
And they didn't pay the license, which I'm sure that kind of shadiness happens much more frequently than you would think in business, where somebody just decides or forgets to pay somebody else. Alright, that is insanity. And what's going to be even crazier is when we get back to the map and we still haven't found the treasure. Alright. And we left this area, so probably wouldn't hurt to just have her hide here.
Hide.
Just in case somebody decided to respawn. Alright. We are here. The treasure I thought was under in this spot. And you can kind of see that there is something under in that spot. So the question is just how do you get to that spot? There is a slight danger in a more modern game where you wouldn't be able to get very far away from him, from Ashley, that they would create an arbitrary distance, and in that arbitrary distance that would be as far as you could travel. You may literally just have to go and try and slice all the wall sections. I imagine the issue here is that there's a place to jump, a prompt, and I'm just not seeing it. Let's see. Over here, you could jump down here. And that's kind of it. Probably doesn't hurt to double check this. It is, I guess, an unfortunate fact that the story is kind of just implying that Sadler originally may have not been an evil person and may have just been infected by the Las Plagas, and he may have just led a lot of the other people into being infected and forced a lot of the other characters to be infected with the Las Plagas, and so there may not really be anyone to really blame. It certainly would make sense, though, here, that you would jump through here. I think that would make all the sense in the world. But there's no prompt for that. So maybe there's another door. Maybe it's a case that the door is just too... Ah, there it is. Yeah, it's just too dark. And there's the red gem, so inherently that is what we were looking for. Okay. And I guess the question is, can we unlock this door? Okay. So now, the question is, do we go for the wild ride and do the other section now that the gates are unlocked and we've gotten the treasure? I'd like to. So, I'm willing to risk some deaths. And now just run back. At the very least, we can go into the shopkeeper and see if we can upgrade anything, although I suspect the answer to that is no, that we can't actually upgrade anything. The problem with the wild ride in particular, though, is we're going to basically try and use the TMP to break some locks, and
Welcome.
That's about
Got a selection
all we can really do.
On sale. What are you selling?
Like, we're going to try and use the TMP to shoot the treasure as we're running, and or kill this character. And I don't know if I really can kill the character. These blue velvets
Thank you.
sell. Emeralds, I think, sell.
Is that all?
Rubies sell, obviously.
Thank you.
Like, you could hold on to the emerald and question maybe if that's something that's supposed to be added to something else, but I don't think so. And then I can sell the silencer too, which, for the amount of space it takes up, it is not worth it.
Thank
so
you.
We'll get rid of that.
What are you buying?
Can I come back and buy the silencer? No. Would I ever really need it? No. I could waste a rocket launcher for 30,000. It's an interesting idea. It would guarantee me victory.
What are you buying?
And we do have a lot of gold.
What are you buying?
So if I was to buy a rocket launcher, this is going to be a nightmare game of moving things around. Let's see. So I need everything else to rotate this way. Which probably means we're going to lose that in favor of that. So we're trading a lot of stuff here and just getting rid of a lot of stuff. to have that rocket launcher. That's really stupid. I really should have sold stuff and had room for it first. I can't use anything in this screen. So we're just doing the height of stupidity here.
Come back anytime.
Which I totally should have saved before I did that. Because now we're 40 minutes in and it just doesn't justifiably make any sense to run through that whole section again. Wasting a rocket launch on an El Gigante just so I can, perhaps for the first time ever, kill this El Gigante who's chasing after you and just taking your time on it is pretty crazy. The good news is there's not really a boss fight that's that big of a deal for a little while, but there is definitely a boss fight that is a bigger deal that if I was going to need to use a rocket launcher, I would use it on that. Alright. So you get to this point. Boy, this field of view zoom is different. And I guess it would be really crazy if the El Gigante is just gone and I can just walk through this area. So there's like a whole environmental aspect here. So there's 15,000 for using the rocket launcher. The rocket launcher just gets left on the ground. Again, we'll just look. So there's environmental storytelling here around. You could have shot a big rock on him and tried to take him out that way. And there's room to walk around that. And then we'll just check the map just to make sure. Yeah, we are interestingly looking in the wrong direction according to the map. But did we get turned around? Right, so you have this entire door that's chained, and you could either knife the three things or shoot the three things. You might even try and grenade the few things, but he would have just smashed through the door completely. And much like the previous Gigante fight, you can take a whole bunch of stuff if you run in here and grab it, but odds are you wouldn't have time to run in and grab it. There's nothing here. Still nothing around these lights. Then you get around to this next building, which just the awkwardness of moving around. Effectively, you have to get that old key. You can't jump out this window. This does put you in kind of a unique position where it is totally worth the 30,000 to get a rocket launcher if you can afford it. But very much you can see how this is stretching out. The previous section is really just stretching out pain that you otherwise could just put in one go in one chase sequence. Most people that are going to engage with this are going to end up just running through this chase sequence and not be able to take most of this. There's your second rock you could drop on him. So you don't have to have a rocket launcher to beat him. Noticeably here, if you want each of this explains why I never seem to get all three of these pieces, is because it is in between two different locations. So that is also way worth it. And again, environmental storytelling with the lanterns trying to point your eyes upward. There are some things up here, but even if something did spawn from those things, I don't think there's a way you could get up there. So I'm not really doing the best job of representing how this normally would have been experienced by most players on their first run. You'd still be chased at this point, and he would smash through this gate, and you would barely have enough time. And then there's a thing up here, but I don't think there's a rock. So if there is a third rock somewhere, I don't see it. You probably only need 2 rocks, actually, because if you knock him in the head with the rock, you probably could then have tried to attack him in the back with a knife, or just attack him with a knife in general. And you have to have a key here, which is different than the situation with the other area where you just remove the bar. And you know, we're going to the merchant. I assume what happened here is that the merchant crossed the bridge before the bridge got taken out, because this bridge here did get taken out, and they don't particularly show it that much, but yeah. And you would expect just kind of a level of safety here. At least a checkpoint.
Welcome. Got a selection of good things on sale, stranger.
I would say it's not worth it to buy another rocket launcher, though. Like,
is that all?
I think I can resolve
Thank you.
down to that fairly quickly. This sells now for 20,000. It'll never sell for any higher.
Thank you. What are you buying?
What this could do is open up the possibility of, like, buying the...
What are you buying?
Yeah, we've just got nothing here
Come
that we
back
can upgrade
anytime.
still. The game is definitely not treating me very nicely with the upgrades, but that's all fairly scripted. Yeah, I could get a rocket launcher and go this way to beat the real boss of this area. I could buy a different handgun if I had room, but I really just don't have room. Everything is definitely set up in kind of just a weird situation. I know I'm going to use this before I get an upgrade, and I know I'm going to use this before an upgrade. So, trying to make some room in the inventory. I would argue I'm probably even going to use this before an upgrade, so we'll make some room that way. Decisions. There's just this new game plus element, I guess, to this, where the game really isn't going to let you upgrade your guns and be overpowered in that aspect until you've beaten the game once. So it's trying to maintain a level of spookiness and danger, which I kind of understand some of that. Like, it would be a little unfair. So they're planning on ambushing us, and yet they leave the information out. So it's not much of an ambush. Although it is worth pointing out that I'm just doing so well because I have such a familiarity with this. If I played every game I ever played to this level of skill, just because I was familiar with it and understood what was going on, I'd look like a much better player overall. But nobody really has time to play a lot of games multiple times, and a lot of games just are not good enough to justify multiple times. We definitely have gone more towards a case of we need a retinal scanner, so we need an eyeball. And this is the way we have to go instead. Or nope, this is the other way that we could have come from. This is the other side of the door of the other area. Which they're definitely putting this so that you see it either way. Yeah. Yeah, nowadays we definitely have more live service games as a concept, more games that just want to constantly give you more content, and they're just not interested in you squeezing more out of a content, or the content being particularly wide instead of tall, if that means anything to you. What that means to me when I say that is that we can't leave Ashley, I don't think, although it would make a lot of sense to just leave Ashley. By tall, I mean you get from point A to point B in a lot of games, and then there's a point C and a point a point D, E, F, G, basically. It's funny how Ashley is just going yes and doing a fist pound. Whereas wide is more you go from point A to side point A1, side point or side quest A2, and there's just more to see. Speaking of more to see, here you get, I guess, your first glance of the castle, which is nothing more than just mostly shadow and darkness, and I imagine without the HD mod and the field of view mod, a lot of this will go unviewed. There's also a slight weirdness in that when we jump on this, that's when they start to spawn other guys. So I could have potentially gotten all three of them. And since these other guys had already been shot, I think I'm just safe. 3 in 1 shot. Unless they start trying to shoot at me from... Unless they start trying to shoot me from these windows, which maybe they will start trying to do that. You can kind of notice that they are just spawning more than naturally walking around and walking on this. Okay.
Wait.
Let's just put her there. I think we can keep her fairly safe there. And then we can see through here if anybody is going to try and attack here. These flashbangs, you really only need them for pigeons, and you're really not going to see any pigeons after at this point. So you can use them if you're really desperate and need some protection, but just the action of equipping them and interesting. Yeah. Just the action of like equipping the flashbangs and using them is not really worth it. You have this little carved in cave. Which I guess the fact that the TNT blew up that lantern might be just kind of the interconnected physics that they're trying to have in the game. And this is a sacrifice ritual of some sort to some kind of insect pattern that, again, the HD project may have remade that pattern and changed how it looked. And that gives us the yellow cat's eye, which is the final Beerstein thing. So we now have all the treasures in the game. You pretty much don't see another instance. There's no door here. It feels like there would have been a door there. Can we push any buttons? It says don't mess with it.
Follow me.
Yeah, you really don't see another instance of actually having to hide in trash barrels, trash cans for a while. And that, I think, just really highlights how little they were really interested in that outside of a few places. Almost certainly this is a game that was designed by multiple teams, and you can just take the ammo since he doesn't sell ammo. I guess the ammo is free, or at least he's not going to throw a fit. Even like shooting this guy, if you tried to shoot him, I don't think actually does anything. It might instant kill you. I've never thought about shooting the guy.
Welcome. What are you selling?
Alright.
Come back, idiot.
So, we can't upgrade anything. We can combine this with this, and that is now at its max price. And that may actually be worth a little bit more than the mask is. Odds of using the sniper rifle are low. But using the TMP and the shotgun, I think, are fairly high. Although, in all fairness, I probably should just do an incendiary grenade on the guy. I don't want to overwrite chapter ends. And this really puts me in just a really nice situation where I can end this episode here. We can start the next episode with the big boss fight and some action. Oh, we were going to sell. Let's see what it's worth. 20,000, so it is what the same price.
Thank you.
Sell flash grenade.
Stranger?
If two hand grenades and an incendiary grenade and a bunch of TMP ammo doesn't kill him, then nothing will. Yeah. And my criticism of this game, there's really not a lot to say. We're going to go up here, we're going to fight a big boss fight, and then we're going to go this way, and that leads into the second act of the game, in which you are in the castle, and the castle section of the game eventually leads to the island, and that's eventually just kind of the end of it. There might be some sub areas. We're rolling in cash as far as possibilities, so I might get like a full upgrade on my handgun, realize it's the wrong handgun, and then just take a full upgrade on another handgun. But I also might just have enough cash to fully upgrade some other guns that we get later on. Getting the treasure map for the other areas, if it's available, is a smart move, because there definitely were points here where I would have forgotten about where a treasure was and wouldn't have bothered to go and get it. This is the end of seeing a lot of zombies on the map at this point. Once you get into the castle, you'll have smaller areas and just stronger but fewer enemies. You'll still have some rooms where there's 4 or 5 enemies, but no longer will we just see copycat zombies, 3 different clones of 2 different character models in some places. Although noticeably, even in the castle, it is still a lot of clones of the exact same character models. It would be insane and practically impossible. I think it's literally impossible for a player to go back and try and get anything if they missed anything at this point. So even to get the achievement to shoot into the lake, I'll have to load a different save file to get to that. And I never really liked the fact that this treasure was just too close to this other area, that you enter this area within the first hour and a half of gameplay basically, and you're not at this area where you can get this treasure until you're hitting 5 or 6 hours into the game. Yeah, I could be critical of the files, which it definitely is not something I ever felt the need to read, and it's not a big aspect of the game. Eventually we'll get better guns, smaller guns, not really, but better guns and a bigger attaché case. But even when you have the biggest attaché case, you still have to play a little bit of menu Tetris here, which this is a fun little minigun. For all the games out there that have mini games in them, like they usually turn into lockpicking, hacking mini games, and that's just been so played out, where this concept makes logical sense and actually lets you do something. It wouldn't be terrible if they had given us some objects that were not square and had more of a triangle aspect to them, or an L-shape aspect to them, and you had to spin things around to fit that. But they never really engaged with it again, so if anything, that probably highlights how the Japanese developers of this game didn't even really understand what people liked about this game, and that's why Resident Evil 5 has just a different feel to it. It gets way more action-y and way less... we won't get any more treasures until the next section. Like, Resident Evil 5 is just way more action-y and way less spooky. And there is certainly something to be said about the level of spookiness in this game. I think for most gamers, this game is not really that scary. Even when I was a younger kid and playing this on the GameCube, I don't think I ever really took this as being that spooky. Although I may be an exception, because I really don't find any kind of animated horror spooky, nor do I feel like live action horror is that spooky, because it's just so obvious. But yeah, this definitely felt like a cartoon to me, and it still feels just like a cartoon. So yeah, there aren't any real jump scares or anything in this game that would even get me on that level. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and give me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.